Hey everyone, and welcome to our neck of the woods. If you're new here, I'm Katie, and I am a disabled mom, wife, and creative professional living in a black swamp outside of Charleston, South Carolina. I started this channel a few months ago to document my life and creative process and just share my world with you. So welcome. My goal for 2019 was to vlog at least once a week, and this will be next week's vlog, even though I'm filming today, January 4th. January 4th is a very important day for me personally, and I thought it would be a good topic to talk about for my weekly vlog. So why is January 4th important, especially January 4th, 2019? Well, today marks 10 years since I had my spinal fusion surgery that completely changed my life. So what exactly is a spinal fusion? Fusion can be done a couple of different ways. Essentially, it's a procedure done to help the spine stabilize, and sometimes bone grafts are used to help them regrow. My fusion consisted of putting 8 titanium screws holding 2 rods, 2 screws in each vertebrae, and that goes from my T11 to my L2. So that's what my fusion is. And a fusion is meant to, again, help stabilize, keeps things strong and in place so that ligaments and muscles and nerves around the spine aren't injured or irritated, thus causing more pain. I wanted to share this experience with you guys for a lot of different reasons. I know a lot of people have had spinal fusion surgeries done for a variety of reasons. I think anyone that has had any kind of surgical procedure can relate to how unsettling and sometimes frightening it can be. So I actually had a very positive outcome from this, and I know in chronic illness it's not always easy to find a happy ending in a story, so I figured I'd share the one I've got. To get this all started, when I was 18, a freshman in college, I herniated a disc and compressed 60% of my spinal cord, injuring it, and had to have surgery to correct it. After the procedure, I was one of the lucky 1% of patients that contract an infection after spinal surgery, and I contracted bacterial meningitis, and it nearly killed me. My life has never been the same since. And again, this all happened when I was 18. When I was 22, I had transferred down to College of Charleston, and so I could be closer to friends and the beach, and also to the Medical University of South Carolina, as my care team had kind of become based out of there. So when I was 22, I was still in school, had 2 more semesters left maybe, and was just having excruciating pain and a lot of issues and neurological symptoms again, and it was decided that I would benefit from a series of procedures to fuse my spine together. My original injury occurred at my T12 and L1 vertebrae, that being where your upper body and your lower body meet, so a lot of stress is put on that joint, and since mine was weakened and only had half a disc, and I had all that infection and everything going on, I was essentially bending in half at my T12 L1. I had kyphosis, which is hunchback syndrome, and to avoid further complications and me literally bending in half, we decided to have the procedure. And it was a very scary decision for me, since part of the reason why I was there in the first place was because of a surgical complication. The thought of going back in there terrified me. I thought, am I even going to wake up this time? The last time just went so bad. But, my doctor was very reassuring, and we weighed all the options, and so January 4th, 2009, I went in for my spinal fusion. So the procedure itself took a few hours. They had originally planned for me to have my first procedure done in January, and then a second procedure done 6 months later to complete the fusion. Once my doctor got in there and saw how everything was looking, he decided to go ahead and do everything in one swoop rather than open me back up a second time. So that was kind of scary for my parents because they're like, oh, you know, it's only gonna take a few hours, and ended up taking like all day. I remember coming out into the recovery room, and if you've ever been under general anesthesia or you've been around someone under general anesthesia, then you know you're not quite yourself. But this time I actually woke up crying, and so the nurse was pretty concerned. You know, obviously I was in pain. I had just had major spinal surgery, and but she had asked, you know, what's wrong, what's going on? And I just said, I don't feel the pain anymore. Like it's gone. I mean, I literally remember waking up and feeling like this brick that had been sitting on my spine for the last 4 years had been lifted off. And you know, the recovery process definitely wasn't easy. While I got that brick removed, I put 8 titanium screws and 2 rods in its place. So adjusting to that, to the new implant was harder than I anticipated. I had to sleep in a recliner for the first 3 weeks at my parents' house after being discharged, and there was a lot to kind of rebalance, so to speak. I was determined that I was going to finish school within the next year as I had anticipated, and so I ended up only taking half a semester off this time and picked up 2 express courses so I could get back in it. I focused a lot on exercising, on yoga, on really overhauling my diet. I know people with chronic illnesses, we get a lot of like cures thrown at us. Really taking a hard look at my diet, I think, really helped me speed up my recovery, and just resting and focusing on myself. They had originally told me to plan for about a year before I would be fully recovered from the procedure. I had my procedure done in January, and by my 4-month checkup in May, I was fully recovered. I remember walking in, and I had my brace on, and you know, we did the x-rays, and he checked me over, and he said, I don't know how you did it, and you know, maybe because you're young and you were determined, but you've fully recovered. You can take your brace off. I'll never forget leaving the office that day. You know, I walked by the nurse's station and I was holding my brace and not wearing it, and they just all started cheering and clapping for me, and it's still kind of emotional to think about it. Because it really was the start of my adult life. You know, being 18 when all of this started, I've never really known what it's like to be a healthy, fully functional adult. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to wake up in the morning and feel good as an adult. The fusion really gave me a chance at living the life I wanted to lead. You know, unfortunately, since then, complications from the original injury and infection, you know, affect my everyday and always will. But I think I am more mobile and more functional and absolutely more confident and absolutely in a lot less pain because of the fusion. Ironically, this all started in my back, and now it's the place where I have the least amount of pain. I still get pretty bad spasms and stuff back there sometimes, but now I don't know if my nerves just don't feel anything back there anymore or what, but I get very little pain back there, and haven't had a lot of pain back there since my surgery. If you have any questions or are considering a fusion, please feel free to ask. Leave them in the comments, send me a message if you'd prefer that. I'm happy to be open and discuss. And I wanted to share this story to show that it's really important to have faith. If I wouldn't have had faith in my doctor performing this procedure after having such a horrible first experience with the injury and infection, I wouldn't have the life I have today. I think it's also a good lesson in showing that sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do, that you're scared of, that are really painful in order to become that better, stronger person. And I hope that this video has helped you learn a little something more about me and a little bit more about what it's like to have a spinal condition. I hope you learned a little bit more about what it's like to have a chronic illness and live with chronic pain and disability. And again, any questions or comments, please leave them below. Please get in touch. I do this because I love people and I love sharing stories and telling people stories and sharing of myself. So please don't hesitate to open up to me if you have something you'd like to share. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and have a great week.